Alright, welcome back everyone. So, got another tournament starting up, and so decided to record my matches this time. So this is the very first round. So we're playing with the new promo corps that were added to the Steam set. So we have Arcadian Communities, Splice, and Recyclon as the three new corps. Of those, Arcadian is probably the best one, and it is quite good on Elysium as well, because Elysium is somewhat, I'll say, determined by who gets access to ocean rebates, and so being able to reserve sections of the map in order to get the rebates and your opponent can't is very valuable. And so I'm trying out a new approach with this tournament setup where I've already played the game, and I'm not going to be doing a stream of consciousness. I'm going to be kind of doing a review of it. So we'll see how this works out. Hopefully lets us skip some of the more boring middle segments, but let me know if you don't like this, and next time I'm doing a tournament, I'll take that into consideration. But yeah, so these are the corps. We're happy about that. Look at the cards. We're not happy about that. These are not great preludes. Yeah, I hate all these preludes, to be quite honest. None of these are my favorites. But remember, what we are looking to do on Elysium, especially as Arcadian, is to fight for the ground rebates, and so as a result, the 3 plant prod is looking like the most interesting aspect of this. Yeah, you can see I'm not very happy. I picked those two just to see. Alright, let's step back here for a minute. Oh, gosh. It's not, yeah, it was all poopy. Alright, clearly trying to skip ahead is not going to work out so well on this one, I think. But we'll look at the cards here. Alright, pause. So what are we looking at here? So I have tin steel when you're Arcadian, so that kind of automatically screams industrial microbes as a card that you want. Also on Elysium, you have the ecologist milestone, which is 4 tags of microbes, plants, or animals. So industrial microbes along with psychophiles is a nice 1-2 punch in order to make progress on ecologist. And if I take the biosphere support, that's my 3rd tag, so I'm just looking for one more in order to get what I need. So can't go too wrong with that. Then over here, you have small animals and birds, which are fine, not great. Lava flows is the big one on this map, because on this map, there's a 3-card spot on a volcanic tile. That means you can just do lava flows and instantly get 3 extra cards along with it, which is extremely powerful. So you love seeing that in the opening hand. So of these, I think you take the industrial microbes and the nuke power. You take the microbes, and you could consider taking an animal or two, and then definitely the lava flows, but nothing else here really seems good enough to me. Alright, let's skip ahead that right there. Get to the other player to make his decision. Alright, here we are. And so I do end up picking nitrogen shipment and biosphere to get the 3 plant prod. The polar industries I decided wasn't good enough, especially considering that on Elysium oceans are weaker than normal. At least by normal being the Tharsis map. So my opponent does Great Aquifer up there, which I think is not the greatest prelude. So the benefit of being Arcadian is the 2 best spots on this map are 3 plants and the 3 cards. So I can immediately, as my first action, reserve the 3 plants, and then I can go over there and do the 3 cards. And now that I've reserved this area, I can place my markers adjacent to where I've reserved. So all this ocean rebates can just be mine. I can take all of it, which is super strong. Alright, what'd I get? Alright, so I got urbanized, heather, and farming. Not great, not bad. Urbanized probably can find some use for it, especially with the microbe steel. Heather is my 4th tag if I'm looking for ecologist, and psychophiles will help pay for it. And you can see I did elect to take both small animals and birds for my opening hand, just because, why not? Didn't stop me from doing what I wanted to do, and with 3 plant prod, maybe oxygen will move a little faster than normal. So Point Luna doing Point Luna things and playing Earth tags and drawing cards, so that's nice for him. And then yeah, some more cards being drawn, but it's not the best event there. So I just go up and I take another 6 pocket, and I go ahead and play the microbes because I mean it's basically free. It'll definitely pay for itself. Here's the playback speed. Make this go a little faster. There we go. Alright, so I definitely want to play the microbes, use the microbes, but here's where I need to debate. Do I want to play the nuke power or not? So, the benefit with nuke powers, it makes it so that I have 4 energy. That means I do have 4 energy going over to heat if I'm looking to move heat. It means I could have a bumper turn on if I find a bumper, but it also means I'm going down to -3 production. And so I'm not convinced that I want to do that. Other people who were watching told me they thought I should have done the 3 power into getting 4 energy going over to 4 heat and open up the possibility of a bumper. But it also kind of locks me into what I consider to be a rush setup. I can't really build an engine very well if I'm at -3 production and all of it just going over to terraforming parameters like heat. So I'm not a fan of locking myself into committal lines like that, but it is a valid alternative. Alright, so of these cards here, you certainly could consider GHG because Point Luna does love the Earth tags. You could consider Grass, it is a plant tag, though not the best one. Underground City, though, is actually pretty interesting because I do have the nuke power sitting in my hand that I can use to play Underground City and get some steel production. One of the awards for this map is the Industrialist, which rewards having lots of steel production. And this also lets me reserve more areas of the map that I can then put the city next to and really bully him on the ground. So it's an interesting decision. I look at it, but I ultimately decide Underground City seems best to me in this case. So if I had played the nuke power, which I'm going to have to in order to play Underground City, I would have ultimately traded 2 money for 3 heat. Is that worth it? I don't know. So interesting things that my opponent passed. I know he has Titanium Prod. I think Soletta is the most dangerous card here, so I think I should cut that. Looking at what he's got 40 mega credits of Titanium available. He has 1 heat production already. I think it's in my best interest not to give him that Soletta. I checked to make sure he doesn't have a Jove, because if he has a Jove, then that could be problematic, letting him have Beam from a Thorium Asteroid, but seeing as he doesn't, I don't really see how that fits in his game plan, so you just cut the Soletta, and then he took the Grass, which I thought was a little weird. I'll happily cut some more heat production from him. I don't want him to draw a card while playing heat production. And so here's where I can buy. Certainly in my discussions, I talked about how good Soletta can be early, and I stand by that statement. Soletta is good early. But the problem is that it's Gen 2, and I can't play Soletta. And honestly, after I get down Underground City, I'm not even sure I'm going to play Soletta in Gen 3. And so once you get to that point, the value of the card drops off rapidly, so Soletta doesn't really fit my game plan here. And honestly, I'm not even sure the import of GHG really fits it that well either. Yeah, it could work, but it's full price heat prod. It's not discounted in any way for me right now. And I already have the plant prod. I feel like I'm better off just playing to the ground than trying to force excess heat production here. That's inefficient. So my opponent's thinking real hard. I try and skip ahead, except we just saw the results of that. So there's the 30-second skip ahead. Maybe I should be doing that. All right, here we go. Alright, research coordination. So that's interesting because now he does have that Jovian tag. And he skips. So I take an action and skip myself. See what he wants to do. And he sells 2 cards in order to play Beam from a Thorium Asteroid. So I don't like this play. And the reason I don't like this play is because he's kind of locked himself in now. He can't really go a very strong engine setup. He's already invested like 40 money into heat. And so because of that huge investment into heat, you're now kind of stuck with it. And that means that if I just solely stick to playing the ground, it's going to be very hard for him to outscore me because I'm going to be dictating that the game's going to have a fast pace and the ground score is better than the heat track does in a fast-paced game. So I go ahead and do that nuke power because I think Underground City is great for reserving more real estate over here. It also sets me up to have 8 plants in the next generation, such that I can immediately convert, which is quite nice. And oh, baby, what is that? Is that an Arctic algae? Yes, please. I will definitely take an Arctic algae here in Gen 3 with 7 oceans to go. Um, Here he played a Jovian, so I take the Jovian. Just one of those things about playing around his possible outs. I think that's better than the local heat trapping. Though local heat trapping is still good. It's for him, but the Jovian threat is the scarier one when he went out of his way to play a Jove like that. Despite the awesome power of Martian Rails, I think Mineral Deposit is a little better here. And you might be going, wait, why not Mineral Deposit? It's because I already have 3 steel production without any real targets except for the urbanized area. This is only a 2 cash savings. So for it to only be 2 cash worth of savings, I would need to want to have an immediate target because I have some rather expensive plays with Arctic Algae uh, in my near future. So I just don't think it's really worth it. Now I could have considered it for the purposes of Legend. Legend is a milestone on this map for if you have 5 events, you can get a milestone. But I mean, I already don't really look like I'm going to be very competitive on Legend. I think that it's primarily going to be ecologist for me with the Arctic algae, and then we'll see about the rest. But maybe there's a path to get generalist, but I gotta find a way to get 4 mega credit production and titanium and heat, so maybe not. But that's what I take. Pretty easy convert and then play Arctic algae using the microbes. Oh, or I could greed it. I decide I'm gonna greed it. There's no way he'll play in the oceans, right? Never punish. Let's see. He plays Tech Demo, which was a good card, though I'm not really a fan of it early. When you play a card like Tech Demo early, you're basically saying, I have no plays, which you already have 8 cards in your hand, so do you really have no plays? Why'd you buy them? Is it all speculative cards for later on? You know, money's tight right now, so does it really make sense to play Tech Demo before you've seen the RSU, the media, the optimal arrow breaking? I'm not super convinced by that line, but yeah, yeah. Maybe his hand was truly dead. I don't know his hand entailed. That's the downside of the Steam app. Alright, full value Arctic algae, not punished at all for my greed. Love it. You can see there I'm looking at the status. Basically, I look like an ecologist, and that's about it. And I'm also looking really good for a state dealer. I've already locked up a lot of the central areas. I have my volcano over there on the ocean, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, man, maybe I should even fund it, but I decided to wait. I don't think he really has a fund right now either. Um, Nice cards. Advanced Ecosystems, y'all know how much I love this card. GHG's very strong, but heck, even Methane from Titan isn't looking too bad here, to be quite honest. But I pretty much feel like Methane is a super bait card, but maybe it's good for him. I'm sitting here thinking about that, but I ultimately decide advanced ecosystems too good, always take it. I take the biomass over the rest of them because I am looking to push oxygen fairly aggressively, and I don't want to let him hit my plant production. The rest of it isn't really relevant. Rad suits, BPD, like, doesn't matter if he plays those cards. Helps me if anything. Alright, so I get back Methane and Permafrost. So Permafrost is the better card for me. Heat is pushing. I want to have some control over oceans with Arctic algae. Excuse me. If you hear me coughing some, I apologize. But Methane is not really that good of a card. It's a big bait card. But the question is he played Jovian, so is he looking to go Jovian such that even though it's a bait card, it's still going to pay off for him? So I'm debating, and I ultimately decide, yeah, I probably shouldn't give that to him. I think it's too risky for the small payoff of the ocean. I decided to take biomass because I imagine he will get some plant prod, and it's very nice to just get some energy coming in when you have a high amount of steel prod to help you spend the steel effectively. So he plays Noctis City and places it there. I hate this move. It's so expensive. He doesn't have any steel. He's just doing it to try and fight me on a state dealer. But he has no follow-up. He puts a city there, but so what? I can just take my reservations and just creep along here, and he's left with a city that has no points able to be scored by it, that gets no rebates from its placement. That is just a bad economic development. And then he plays the industrial center on my city, so rude. I do like that play. Now he's fighting his state dealer a little bit by getting down here and getting some plants. I think that's a good play. I think that's a bad play. So I start taking his rebates. Like, I'm just going to creep around, dude. That's why Arcadian is such a strong corporation. He raises his heat, which suits me just fine. Lets me get closer to playing Heather. I could play Colonizer here. I have the steel. But I also could wait. There's no super rush for it. I could play the urbanized area between my city and his city, but I can't put any greeneries with the adjacency between my cities, so it's not really worth it. If you're going to do it, you want to make sure you're getting the adjacencies between your cities. So I need to wait on it. I'll find something better. Could find ecologist. Just go ahead and get that. It looks like it's going to be the only award I'm getting, milestone I'm getting here. It's also a fund estate dealer. It's looking pretty locked up for me. But I decided, yeah, ecologist is the right approach. He passes, and I pass too. There's no real rush on anything else here. Okay, so pop quiz of these cards. Which one do you think is the best? Hopefully you said the answer is trees, because that is definitely the best card here. It's Gen 5. This mine is not going to really pay off in a meaningful way. Yes, it is a little bit of industrialist, but consider my opponent has heat production, and I'm fighting on the ground. So if I take the heat payoff cards like trees, then he really has no way of fighting me on the ground here, and I can just win as he's kind of forced to push heat. So trees is definitely the first pick here. I do think about land claim because land claim is really funny, right? I'm Arcadian, so I can use land claim better than others, and I get 3 mega credits when I place a tile on something I've land claimed, so I could just even more circle around his city, which is hilarious. But trees is just obviously better. As much as I like memes, I do think I should try and play a little seriously this tournament. Skipping ahead a little. My opponent takes some time to think. I even talk about lane claim being interesting. So I say all that because now I'm about to completely do memes. So looking at the cards here, what do you think is the best card? You're probably going to say Comet, and you would be right. Comet is the best card here in a vacuum. But I do have 9 steel sitting around burning a hole in my pocket, and oh look, it's a lava tube settlement. I could place it right over there on 2 titanium, have it next to my cities, have an urbanized location available to me, and I do have the power. So Comet's probably better, but him pushing heat isn't really that bad for me. Play Comet, oh no, my plants. Arctic algae gets them right back for me. It does push me closer to the heather and the trees and takes away some of the value of the heat prod he already has. So I don't know. I think Comet is the better card, but I think Lava Tube is defensible, and it is a funny meme, so I went for it. People did not like it that were watching me, and that's fine. That's their opinion, but I would say most players probably should do Comet, but Lava Tube just looked like a lot of fun, so I did decide to go with Lava Tube here. You can see I did think about it, though. Can I get away with memeing to this degree? Yes or no? And I decided, yeah, I think I can. And mine came back, but I don't really care. Like I said, it's Gen 5. I think Space Station is more problematic for things. Subres is a nice card to have. It is a little bit of Legend, though, again, I don't think it's that relevant for Legend this game. But it also lets me get Arctic Algae plants more consistently when it comes to getting my conversions, so I like it for that reasons. Alright, skipped ahead there a little too far. Let me back up. Waiting for other players. Okay. Why is it not playing? Alright, so I convert and I place my land claim up there. My opponent's having a nice long think. At this point, I've kind of accepted that they just have it. And he plays the Comet, which is fine. It does let him get the Nitro Moss down, so that's decent for him. But it kind of just helps move me along on my goals as well, I feel. I go ahead and do the lava tube settlement, grab the 2 titanium, set up for the urbanized area, but I don't want to immediately urbanized area. And the reason for that is because if you look down here, I have 5 heat with 2 energy rolling over to heat. That's going to leave me at 7 heat. I don't have another easy way of getting that 1 extra heat if I don't have an energy rolling over. So if I immediately urbanized area, I'm stuck with 7 heat, which is useless. I've wasted like 7 cash essentially, right? So the better thing to do is to wait on converting with the urbanized. Wait on the urbanized area, let the 1 energy come down, and then it rolls over to get me to 8 heat, which I can then use to raise the temperature. I'm thinking. I want to skip ahead. Alright, there we are. So restricted area is right there. I'm not really a fan of that restricted area. It's short-term gain that at the expense of long-term strategic gain. So what do I naturally want to do? I naturally want to do a state dealer. He recognized this, which is why he did the knock the city here and the industrial center here. If I were him, I would have continued with that plan and tried to go over here or over here with that restricted area in order to try and again contest the rebate next to the oceans and make a state dealer a little harder for me to fund early on. Right here, it takes away a point from my city, sure, but the city already did its job. My city got me some plants and let me get near oceans on this side. So if it doesn't score any more points, it was still a good play for me. That restricted area, while it's still going to be great for him, I think that location isn't doing enough. But he draws a card. I do have a little bit of card draw, meaning that I have a little more pressure to terraform, but he already invested so much in heat, he still has the onus of the terraforming, which is good for me. I'm counting, trying to figure out if I can fund a state dealer here. It's a little bit of a risk. It's not totally mathematically solved because you could have like mangrove and molehole area and stuff, but ultimately I decide, yeah, I think I got it, so I go ahead and fund it. The big card to watch out for now is Artificial Lake. Artificial Lake can screw up all of your estate dealer calculations. Oh, hello. So, what card is best for me? Definitely the Open City. What card is best for him? Definitely the Olympus Conference. So this is a case of, is this good enough for me that I should pass an amazing card to my opponent? And the answer is no. It's going to come on too late in the game to not really matter compared to just a standard city, essentially. Whereas this card could lose me the game if he gets a sick, Olympus Conference, Mars U, Quantum, Mass, AI, Anti-Grav, etc. So this is the card you definitely have to cut here. I say cut. I could certainly keep it myself with 3 Steel Prod. Wow, I sure picked that one quick. What were those cards? Why is it not playing also? Okay. Alright, I snap picked an asteroid. Adaptech, energy saving, these cards aren't really relevant. I kind of want to keep in mind about the Adaptech being passed, but most cards here won't matter. Kelp farming and algae are the only 2 that really stick out to me. Breathing filters, just because AAA isn't a card in Gen 6, and so I decided to buy those 2 because I do have enough steel. It makes sense to have a steel dump and a science out as needed. But breathing filters is a bit too expensive and far away to really consider at this juncture. There is no scientist on this map either. So he does local heat trapping to get himself the plants for a conversion. That's fine. That does continue to fight on the estate dealer. I do like that he is continuing to pressure me on that, but thanks to my reservation ability, it's just going to be hard to actually do that. And I'm just going to start converting over there on the east. That way, I'm grabbing up those tiles that I have not reserved yet to further cement my domination on that award. See him just continuing to walk around, reserving all of it for me because Arcadian is fair and balanced on Elysium. He does get that grass down that we passed him a while ago. So now we're matched in our plant prod, 3-3. But hey, asteroid, since you have the grass, and hey, that turns on my heather as well. So I'm now a little bit in the lead on the plant prod. Ooh, NRA. Okay, so he's now at 7 plant prod. So now he is starting to look pretty good when it comes to the terraforming setup. He has good heat prod. He has more TR. Right now I have more greeneries, but he is producing more plants than I am. So this is a little dangerous, but I do have an award locked up. I have all these rebates here in the middles, and I have Arctic algae. So as long as I can leverage that in a productive way, I think I'm okay, but the game got a lot more interesting. I can also urbanize the area now that the energy is flowing over. I don't need to worry about that anymore. Don't play Olympus because I don't have steel to spend on it right now. It's more of a steel dump, so we're going to wait and see. Tycoon never really gets claimed. He already has Legend, and it's a bit of a race between Generalist and between the two of us, but in reality he has the Generalist. You might be thinking, oh, but he still has to find the steel production, right? Well, he has the industrial center, so at any time he can pay 7 mega credits and then be eligible for that milestone. So it's not really a thing. This one was a really, really upsetting draft because Cupola City is amazing for me. It's so good. But Nuke Zone is so good for him. Uh, it helps me with his state dealer. It helps take away his heat. Helps get me closer to trees. Maybe lets me get the ocean bonus. Ultimate, and this one also draws him a card. I basically feel that Nuke Zone is too good compared to Cupola City being just really good. So I think you have to take the Nuke Zone here, as sad as it is. You can see I really want that Cupola. I really want that. Okay, so this is an interesting one as well. Lightning Harvest is an okay card, but it's not great. Tropical Resort actually is a little bit interesting because I have the steel production, but not that good either. Ultimately, I decide Lightning Harvest is the more scary of the cards, and I take the Corporate Stronghold. Corporate Stronghold, I have the steel production. I'm going to get the power production when I get up to 6% with the biomass combustors. So this is just a city I can play that's relatively cheap, all things considered, and helps me just get real estate. Real estate is what I'm looking for right now to turn my plants into points. So I definitely got to take Nuke Zone here. I think Corporate Stronghold makes sense, though I'm not sure if I end up keeping it. I do, yeah. Alright, so here's where there were some disagreements, but I think I did the right decision personally. I just passed him a Cupola City. My concern is that by passing him Cupola City, he can place it right there on that one plant, and by putting it on that one plant, he's now cutting off my cities from being able to be placed anywhere on this row, essentially, which means the only city location I would have would be right here, which would be exactly 0 greeneries that would not be next to his cities as well, effectively making this whole area worthless for scoring points. Which is not something I want. I want to score points from all these rebates that I have eligible for me here. So I don't want him to play the cupola and block me from that. I do have the Nuke Zone. Nuke Zone does let me get to these tiles, but I'm just scoring 1 point from them as opposed to the 2 points if I had a city next to them. So I feel like a city is important here. And because of that, I ultimately decide SP City is the right play here. And it lets me get my greenery conversion as well. I think it's right. There was some debate on if that was really good and how it's better for our opponent to get substandard cities next to reserved areas, but I think what I lose from allowing that to happen is far greater than the inefficiencies he'd suffer from. Drawing cards must be nice. The guy that can reserve every section of the map says so. Yeah, no sympathy for me. I had a very good corp here. He converts up there, so he gives me a point, but he is still trying to pressure a state dealer, which is smart on his part. It does let me play biomass combustors, though, which I'm very happy about. I'm just going to continue reserving more ocean space. Small animals him. Hurt his plant prod. The more I can hurt his plant prod, the better in terms of letting me win on the board such that I can win the game. He gives it a nice long think. He plays viral enhancers, which you hate to see, into GHG bacteria. So I saw this and I was like, what? Why would you do that? You're the one that has the heat production here. So why are you just trying to continue to push the heat that hard? I don't think it's terrible. It is cheaper than the SP asteroid. But I do think it's using money in a way that is slightly inefficient, unless he has a science payoff. If he has a science payoff, I think it's fine. But in general, I thought the GHG was a pretty weak play, all things considered here. That was my opinion, at least, watching it. Just taking my resources, he takes his resources. Claims his legend. Yeah, he always had that. Um, so I want to get to -4. I don't really want to give him bushes easily. Yes, he has the ability to turn on bushes, but I would like to make him raise the heat for bushes, which would then allow me to raise the heat and play Nuke Zone to get the -4. And the -4 is really nice to get because that lets me play my trees, and so I think there's a lot of value there. So I decided to stall with the biomass combustors. And I'm the first player, so I'm debating, maybe I just take one action. There's no loss in action discrepancy with that, so I do that. He does end up taking his heat, takes one back, which is fine. I take my one, and then I can go ahead and Nuke Zone if I want, or I can just pass. Again, I think Nuke Zone's fine. I take the 7 cash. Thanks, Arcadian, right? You get the money back, and as well as the ocean rebates. So good on this map. And now Trees is playable for me, which is just awesome. Yeah, he is able to get the ocean bonus, but I'll get the oxygen bonus. So, I mean, I'm okay with that trade-off. And then, oh ho, Big Asteroid. It is a little sad giving him advanced alloys, but Big Asteroid is so good here. I can blow up his plants, I can take his heat and make his heat worthless. Just incredible card in this situation. Um, Security Fleet is almost never a good card, and that applies here as well. I think Capital is the most potential upside. I have Steel, I have Power. I think I can speculate on Capital for Celebrity as well. Power Plant's okay, it's just not as much of an upside. Escarpment's a little bit interesting in terms of if he does end up using the industrial center, he could then escarpment me as well, which would be annoying, but ultimately I don't think that's quite strong enough to justify taking it. I think Tech Stress has slightly more upside. And so I take Big Asteroid for sure, and I decide to gamble on the capital. It may work, it may not, but I think it is 2 mega credits of a reasonable investment in case I can find a way to use it for fighting on a state dealer, use it for celebrity, use it as a steel dump, etc. So what's my opponent choose to do? He chooses to raise the heat and GHG bacteria to take it. So it did save him an SP asteroid to get the ocean bonus. So, 3 mega credits savings there. So that's fine, I suppose. But it just, I don't know. It didn't. It seemed like he was taking his own points from my perspective. That's just me. So I could go ahead and take the oxygen bonus, but I decided to do the big asteroid instead and then do the psychophiles because that's going to allow me to play farming, which is going to get me up to 15 plants, which is going to then allow me to convert without having to SP the greenery, which I can't afford right now anyway. And so I think that seems like a good play, makes a lot of sense. And again, I got Arctic algae as well, so I'm just going to be hoping that some oceans come down as that would be an alternative way to do it. So he drew a card. He's probably gonna look to fund the generalist pretty soon here. because Tycoon will start to add up. He plays Alloys, which I thought was a little questionable, but it's fine, I suppose. He already has 5 minerals he could use on it immediately. So, right there was an interesting decision. Is it better to put my restricted tile here or here? You can see I was thinking about both of them. The advantage of putting it here is that it protects my spot next to my 2 cities, so it's a very juicy greenery spot for me. But over here means that Estate Dealer continues to be locked up, which is a potential 10-point swing if he manages to find a way to be annoying on the oceans. So I ultimately kind of decided that he already had priority plays, and so if he didn't block me, then he's probably not going to. So I'm okay to greet it, and so I decided to block it there. You can see I am putting the pressure on Tycoon, so he does need to play some cards. And then he plays the mining rights right there, and I was so mad. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I should have put it right there. My cities. I think he drew it from the restricted area this generation. So, was not happy to see that, but what can you do? Shaking that mouse in frustration. Alright, so I go and do the farming and take my animal. Now I'm going to convert, and then I'm going to... Alright, he goes ahead and does the industrial center to get the generalist. I go ahead now and convert, and then convert. Yeah, I could convert anywhere. I decided to go ahead and do it there next to just go ahead and get the estate dealer tile. Help me with my calculations, make sure I'm not missing anything. And now I'm looking, and none of those really seem fundable to me. All of those seem like they could be dangerous, and so you don't want to fund something if it could backfire, because then you're spending 14 to give your opponent 5 points. Seems like a bad deal, so I just avoid it. I do Indentured Workers because it's the best card. Medlab because I have steel I need to spend on turning to points. Medlab seems like a no-brainer. Indentured is okay, but I don't have that many cards I'm looking to play right now, quite honestly. Right now I'm just looking to put greeneries down and surround my cities with them. Yeah, like, see, I'm looking at it, but I don't think there's any safe moves here in regards to those. So I should just take all the TR that I can because I'm going to have the advantage getting better rebates here. And at 9 plant prod, I am outscaling him on the plants. And I decide again, just protect estate dealer. Is it a little too conservative? Yeah, probably. I could have considered here in the south somewhere, probably. And it would have been just fine, but it was my first time playing Arcadian in the base plus prelude on a non-randomized map. On the some web apps I have played it where it's all completely randomized and the map is new every time, and that's a different type of situation. So yeah, the cupola comes down. It's a good spot for him. He takes the last heat, so heat track is maxed. He has leftover heat remaining, which means it was a little inefficient for him. So you can see his production. He only has 1 point as well. He does have an extra milestone, but I have the award, so we're basically equal there, but I'm doing way better on the ground than he is. So right now, I'm just winning. And it depends on how easy it is to find the oceans, but with Arctic algae, it favors me. But then Mars U, so some shenanigans could start being incurred here. So it's where I need to start speeding up and not letting him do weird things with Mars U to let him get back into this game. So you So, in case anyone's asking, I put the ocean right here because that connects 3 of my tiles for a state dealer. Therefore, it's very important I get an ocean right there. If he had mangrove and he put mangrove right there, suddenly I have tiles that might never touch an ocean, which would be a really, really bad thing. So, by putting that there, I'm just basically saying, yeah, it's mine. Back off on the estate dealer. Thank you. Media Group, that's a good card for Point Luna. Drawing him another card. The GHG, which, like I said, was 11 for 1 temperature raise, so questionable value, I'd say. Again, I don't feel like I can fund any of them. I'm just going to go ahead and do SP Greenery and convert. I'm just going to take as much of the TR as I can. Because if I can push towards birds, I can caca and take away a lot of his scoring on the ground and also have perpetual scoring. And then he plays Urbies? Oh, that guy. How dare you play the Urbies? I'm gonna get him back with the birds, though, so it's okay. Don't think I could do it this gen. It'll have to be next gen. I'd go ahead and play the Mad Lab, though. Draws me a card, gets me some cash. Electrocat's kind of dead since we're past 8% oxygen. Oh, AI Central. Yeah, Gen 10, as they're about to end the game, you're not really that good, so I'm just going to take flooding. The cheap ocean matters more to me here. Tundra farming makes more sense because there's not many plant destruction left. Just avoid giving him points. AI Central, yeah, neither of us cared. So, I mean, I'll take AI Central over Dev Center, but it's all bad. I'm just going to take the flooding, and that's all I need here. We're looking to end this game. So he's got 10 cards, but doesn't have much of an engine. But he does have 11 titanium, which is alloyed. And then he funds Desert Settler. So, okay, he does look like he's winning Desert Settler pretty, convincingly. He's got, 6 tiles to my 1. But, I mean, I could try and force a ward here, but it's all kind of risky, and I'm kind of dominating. Like, you can see he doesn't have much to speak of in victory points. I have more victory points. You can see that I've got, if we count it on the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 greeneries, and then my cities, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 points on the ground. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can see it's a huge difference on the ground. Yeah, he got one more milestone, but ultimately the swings up top are not enough to make up for the insane difference on the ground right now. So I'm looking like I can just end and win, but I do need to be careful of those alloy titanium that he has saved up. So I do some calculations here. I'm working through about, hey, what does he have? What do I have? What's the point scores? Tallying up the results in my spreadsheet. He uses a mod to help keep track of the scores, so I do ask him later on about, hey, can you tell me the score? I take the cash from him. So yes, it does help him with the state dealer, but I've already kind of calculated that I don't think he can actually win a state dealer based on how everything is laid out. So I'd rather take the 4 cash from him and try and limit his scoring in this situation. And then I kind of mess up there. I placed my greenery there when I really should have considered placing it on up here for one of the rebates, because I'm not going to be able to afford all the cards in my hand that I want to play if I don't get some rebates here. So I think that was a little sloppy on my part. Still forgivable, but it's coming up that I'm really sloppy on it. He's drawing a card. He only has 27 cash, but he does have 48 cash of titanium, so it just depends on what he's got. But he's only played like 1 Jove, right? That was the BFAT, as I call it. So Decomposers, that's a decent card. Go ahead and SP Ocean. And I decided to go ahead and do small animals. Wait on where I want to reserve in case there's a city that he puts down, and I could just reserve next to that and make things annoying for him. Yeah, this is me asking him, what's the score mod say? I think I'm up about 15 points. Plays the Pingus, so that's a new card that's added in this promo pack of when there's 8 oceans, you have a 1-point animal that can come down, which is quite nice. So right there, see with that, I put it in the wrong spot. I put the ocean in a good spot, and I should have put it here in order to get extra 3 cash and 2 cash back, then 5 cash, which would have given me a lot more cash back. But instead, I didn't. I'm at 14 cash. I want to play advanced ecosystems, and I would like to play either birds or breeding filters, depending on which one. And I can't. I can't because I'm stupid. How on earth did I miss something so basic? So yeah, that was really, really lazy of me. Yeah, I'm up 15 points, but I mean, no excuse to throw away points like that. But luckily I have Psychrophiles, so Psychrophiles kind of saves my boneheaded mistake. Yeah, you can see myself thinking about, actually, maybe I can afford it. We'll see. Yeah, I cost myself 1 point because I can't afford birds. I can't afford breeding filters because of that sloppiness. Still waiting on that perfect game. One day I'll play it. Imported nitrogen is good, but it's not really enough to save them. You know, it's like 6 points. And 6 points is good, make no mistake about it. But I'm about to play the advanced ecosystem, which is 3 points. So it's not enough significant headway that he's making against me for my 15-point lead I've already got. So I'm going to sell 3 cards and play the birds, and that'll be that. The GHG continuing to remind him that, yes, you spent 11 on 1 TR. You can call it 2, since he did get the ocean bonus. So Zygon, if y'all remember, he likes to talk about thread gaming ever since I beat him with Zero Plant Prod once. He says that Zero Plant Prod is thread gaming. I disagree since I have 8 Plant Prod here, but you know, he'll say what he'll say. So here I'm teasing him a little, saying you had so much plant prod, but you're almost back to the thread gaming levels. Just gotta lose this last 3 from your original 7 or so that you had, and you'll be there. Birds, small animals, biomass, painful stuff. So Media Archives is a great last card as Point Luna. Well, last cards, hopefully not your last card. Oh, he sold the food factory? Oh, he's never going to thread game at that rate. So TG with his titanium, so yeah, it's fine, but he only had 2 Jobs and a wild tag, so yeah, 5-point card. It does let him fund celebrity, but it's just not enough to win. All within my calculations that I could end and win, and it wouldn't really have anything that he could threaten me with. So it's a 4-point win. It's not a huge win, but it's enough to have ended comfortably. So I think definitely Arcadian is a menace on this map. That's one of the big takeaways from this game is that Arcadian is just an absolute menace. I also would caution you that when you are something like Point Luna and you don't have a bunch of the heat locked cards and you have the option to spend some very expensive cash on that heat, you gotta be careful because you're locking yourself into that. And if your opponent has some of the plant locked heat cards like trees and farming and bushes, then you can find yourself in a very unfortunate situation. Not saying heat prod is bad. On average, heat prod early on will win you the game, but there are situations like this where it can backfire pretty horribly on you when your opponent can just go pretty all in on the ground and win due to superior point scoring there. But to take a random example from the mid game, like look at this. Look at how annoying this ability is. Oh, you want 4 cash? No, it's mine. That's a 7 cash spot for me. Oh, this? Yeah, 7 cash. Oh, this? Potential 9 cash, 9 cash, 7 cash. Like it's hard to fight those rebates. Like there's a corp called Lakefront in one of the other expansions, and it's really strong, and Arcadian is not that far behind it in this format. Now, it does Arcadian doesn't get the 1 mega credit production anytime someone places an ocean, which kind of makes Lakefront go bonkers. But anyway, point is just to show that Lakefront being able to monopolize the ocean rebates is very, very strong, and so that's generally how you want to be playing this corporation. So, yeah, with that, well done to my opponent. I know people will say Point Luna is so strong, but I think Arcadian is way stronger on this map in this format. So I had the advantage from the corpse there. And so with that, that's all I wanted to talk about for this game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Game 2 will be coming up not too long from now, just when I find the time to do the voiceover on that one. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.